is the requirement to comply with the Irish Sports Council scheme for the screening of athletes for performance-enhancing substances, a scheme that the GAA has agreed to support. Well, it's a campaign that most players and managers in essence accept, but there are some major concerns about its administration and its implementation. Marty Morrissey has been taking a close look at this complex subject.
For over 30 years, drug testing has been part of the Olympics. Since last year, drug testing in the GAA is an accepted process at intercounty level.
Yeah, I think it's totally unnecessary to have brought in such a scheme, if you could call it that, within the GAA ranks. I think that the last few Sundays have emphasised the total unnecessary nature of this, embarrassing players, delaying team buses, bringing players into cold areas to be drug tested, and it's a total area that has been not fully explained to us all. We don't know the consequences for the players, we don't know the consequences for the team, and I feel it's something that could be done without.
I think it's a joke, I'll be honest with you. We're amateurs. Like, you have to be so careful what you take, it's unbelievable, you know, and like, I don't think any players go out and take drugs to enhance their performance big time. Like, if you have a flu or if you have something, you got to take it. If you have a headache, you should be allowed to take something, you know, but it's gone to the stage now where you can't even take anything. You have to go over 3 or 4 times and you have to be so careful about it. Personally, myself, I don't think it's any place in the GAA.
Bluntly, it's an added headache for a manager. You know that we have so much to contend with, and now this is added to us. And I've seen the list of things that are banned, and many of them are very what you call normal household substance that you'd have in your house. And my concern is that a player gets a headache or something between now and Sunday and goes to the press and takes an Anadine and is taken on a random drugs test afterwards, and he fails it. And he fails it maybe out of ignorance, and it's not to help his performance, but to help him get over maybe a small medical problem that he has.
At the recent National Football League final in Clones, the arrangements for the testing of 2 players were unsatisfactory. The end result was confusion and embarrassment. 2
of our players had to come out from the dressing room area through the crowds that were waiting for the Tyrone captain to come out with the cup in under the MacArthur stand. As you know, the crowds all congregate behind it. Down from there, down to the end of the stand building into a cold room to sit and wait to give their sample. Also on that date there wasn't enough sealed bottles for rehydration of these players, who of course are dehydrated following a 70-minute match. Also the conditions, as you're well aware, were very wet, cold and windy. I noticed one of our players was quite cold in that room and actually was shivering, waiting to give a sample. Thanks be to God, the drugs officer noticed this and gave him the opportunity to go out to another room to heat himself up. But this is inadequate on players who are committing themselves to the GAA sport.
I get the impression that as a member of the medical profession, you're very angry over this.
I am very angry over it, as I think all the other medical officers around the country are very angry over the way this has been railroaded in. In the end of the day, as medical officer, the buck stops at us.
The Irish Sports Council is the authority responsible for drug testing. The procedures are universally accepted.
The procedure is highly researched, it's well practiced, it's been used internationally for many, many years. The facilities that are used within the GAA are actually generally better than they are in many sports. They have good grounds. They're also developing their grounds so that those with newer grounds and newer facilities do actually have very good facilities for testing. So I think it's purely a matter of getting familiar with the situation and what's involved.
So what is involved? The GAA anti-doping criteria consists of 10 elements. Notification of selection for testing, reporting for testing, selecting a collection vessel, providing a sample, selecting a sample kit, dividing the sample, sealing the sample, testing the suitability of the sample, recording the information and certifying the information. The player is approached away from the playing arena in an area best described as discreet.
I need you for a drug test. So if you'd like to come with me, we'll fill out the forms in here, and then if you need a shower or that, we can sort you out. Okay?
Okay, no
Thanks a million.
Once selected, the player must be accompanied by a chaperone or doping control officer at all times. The player will be requested to select a sealed sample collection vessel before proceeding to the toilet area. When the required amount of urine has been provided, the player must return to the control station, accompanied always by the chaperone. The player may wish for his manager or team doctor to be present as the process continues. Selecting a urine sampling kit is next.
And if you just check, close the top of that there.
Using the sampling kit, the player will divide the sample between the A and B sample bottles. Only the player handles the sample. The player will then seal the two bottles and ensure there is no leakage. The pH and the specific gravity of the sample will then be tested by the doping control officer. The information is recorded. The player will then confirm that the information is correct. But it is important to note that all personal details are blotted out, as confidentiality is crucial. The problem for footballers and hurlers is to know what not to take. But for the uninformed, most products look the same.
The difficulty is that a lot of these products really look quite similar, and it's very difficult for an athlete to actually decipher which products are banned and which aren't. If you take the Benylin range for an example, of these 8 products, this one here is banned. If you take the Lemsip range, there are lots of them that look quite similar. They have changed their packaging and their names quite recently, so it can be really confusing. This one here, actually, the Lemsip Flu Strength is actually banned, and it does look quite similar to the Lemsip Max Strength. Of the Nurofen range, of the 3 products, the Nurofen Cold and Flu, this one here is banned. All of these products are used to treat congestion, but of them, these 3 are banned, whereas the rest of them are fine. If you take the Robitussin range of products, they all look really, really similar. This one here is prohibited, the rest are fine. It's very, very difficult for an athlete or a GAA player to know actually which one to use and which one not to use, which is more important.